While he slumbered, the support meta disappeared. But now he has returned to fix all drafts, for they call him King!
Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. I'm Kang, the draft bender. What's that? There's a big series going on? I know, I've been watching TSM versus Maryville. It's insane. Oh, you want me to take a look and bend Maryville's draft? Sure thing. Let's take a look. Whoosh. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Looks like they're trying to win through the Akshan in a side lane. Got a jungler to get them there. A couple tools to deal with the enemy Zeri. But they got counterpicked in the top lane. Yeah, that's rough. All right. Whoosh. Let's see what we can do here. Whoosh. Maybe. Let's take a look and see what we can do. Whoosh. How about a better mid laner to help get your top laner into more advantageous positions? The TF defensive ultimate can actually save Akshan when he's getting dove in those earlier levels, and also you can be a little more proactive with it. Really cool combo where you TF ult to spot the enemy jungler, and Akshan can invade them while invisible. It's an interesting option. Otherwise, whoosh, how about you just avoid the Akshan blind pick? It's very easily counterpicked, and Camille was on the table already. You knew that they could have grabbed it, and it's a half-decent blind pick on your own. Plus, this is really good into Zeri comps because you can just try and overload onto the enemy AD carry. Either way, those are two options I think could work. But I got to get going because, of course, the support meta can attack at any given moment. So I'm going to give it back to the casters to get us ready for game number 3. Yip, yip!
Now, Jolly, I know that you're new here
Yes.
to the Academy Proving Grounds culture. I have a really important question for you. How did the beard go from brown to red?
I mean, hey, he's a draft bender, right? Like, I don't ask questions.
Yeah, so like what class caused it to go
What class? Are we talking elements, or are we talking positioning here? Because it's got to be the assassin, right? Like, if that's what we're talking
Kangas has
towards.
been the assassin meta has taken over the beard.
Yep. Yeah,
That's where we're at.
I'm mostly impressed at how quickly he was able to, get all of the arrows back in. And I don't know how I would do that on my own head. Granted, I'm not bald, so I've never drawn on my head before, but I was still pretty quick.
Going right for the jugular. You know what, Jolly? If that's the case, you're welcome back anytime. Anytime.
I don't feel too horrible about that one. Hey, you know what? That beard is rocking too. Honestly, the red could look way worse. I'm not gonna lie. And he was saying it kind of looks like a hot pink. It adds some definition. You get to see like his jawline through it. So I'm digging it. It fits the Irish style for today, since it is St. Patrick's Day. Let's bring him back on in here though.
Oh, we gotta bring Kangas back. Yeah. Kangas, hop on back in. As
What's up? What's going on, everybody?
We do have to get back to the series.
Happy to be back. Sorry I had to dip out there for a quick second and take care of some personal business, but happy to be back. It's game 3. We're in game 3. This is crazy.
And Kangas, we might need some more of that red to bleed through if you're a Maryville fan, because game 2, I got to give TSM a lot of props for all the mistakes for them falling behind in tempo in game 1. They bounced back game 2. Once they made sure top lane went in their favor, there was no looking back for TSM. It was a very, very clean game played out from them. And Maryville, honestly, that draft they had, if you don't get your side laner ahead in the auction, it's not a lot of ways to get back in the game. And we saw TSM shut them down.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to counterpick the Akshan was a big part of TSM winning that one. And Kaido also having an insane performance on that LeBlanc, playing those team fights especially very well, finding key picks towards the end of them. So I think, so the ultimate bet was I dye my beard red. As I fix my microphone here, I dye the beard red if TSM drop a game. Now, they lost game 1, but Mazel still has to dye his hair silver if TSM win the series. Ooh. So I just want to remind everybody that there is a world where there are 2 members of the Caster Cabana, blood for blood, hair for hair, everybody. That's how bets work here on the Academy broadcast. But Jolly, from Maryville's perspective here, what do they got to do to bounce back? They want to be that team to make it through. They want to be that team to take out the first Academy team at Proving Grounds.
Yeah, know, I gotta agree with Kang on this one. And my first suggestion, you know, at the end, the breakdown after that game is I don't want to see the Akshan picked early on. You know, I was pretty surprised that was their lock-in as the finale, and you know, like was mentioned, you've already got Camille up and available. That's a great opportunity for a blind pick. If you're wanting side lanes, she fulfills that request. However, they decided to go with the squishy option. It was up in the air. It didn't end up working out. So that would be my first place to kind of adjust the composition.
Shout outs to our producer, Kelsey Moser, who, of course, helps me put together all of those skits, looking at the draft and seeing what could have gone differently. Another option, Cubby, I'm curious your thoughts on just all the different ways they could go. It was a blue 5 Akshan pick. So that was kind of the obvious one. It's like, well, you're blind picking Akshan. What else can you do instead of that? Other options, things like Fiora, things like Renekton. There were a lot of opportunities Maryville had to go for a safer blind pick. So I'll let you think about that as I pass it back over to the two of you, because I'm hearing that we're ready for pick and ban of game number 3, and I don't want to delay any longer. Let's see who's walking away and moving forward in Proving Grounds.
Excellent. Wasting no time here before getting into draft, and we'll have to see exactly how things line up. If the anticipation of Maryville University having picked the red side also comes through, because we do know they initially started on red. Then Maryville was thrown onto blue after TSM lost that first game, so it goes back to MU side selection. And just given how successful red side has been today, that is going to be their choice.
I think counterpick's really important, you know, especially in these games where, you know, solo lane leads, Academy versus Amateur are needed. You know, sometimes just getting a player a good matchup or making sure that you take away a bad one. Now, TSM, they're actually going for the game plan I was about to suggest, which is, keep in mind, game 1, they banned out something else, and then they first picked the Rise. This time, they banned the Rise. They should first pick Zeri, deny that from Azog, and now we'll see Maryville respond. I'm expecting a Lee Sin, but we'll see if they actually want to handshake that, because of course Hyper's Viego was outstanding last game.
It really was. You don't want to allow that one to get through. It's going to start out with the Kaisa here for Azog. Hey, if he can't get the Zeri that he's been popping off really well on, then yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point, because that is another one of those flex picks. You know, run the AP route on her and just sit back throughout Void Seekers all day long. Odd Orange going to fall back onto the Xin Zhao that came out in game number 1.
Okay, now what I'm curious about, a big pick that has been denied for the majority of this match, it has been Jace. Now, if you have Kaisa, you have the chance to go AP and poke, I'm wondering if we see a Jace come out on 3. Now, on the flip side, TSM, I think they're sticking to what worked in game 2. A lot of that was neutralizing some of the aggression from Maryville, and I think taking the Trundle into Xin Zhao, that's a brutal matchup for Xin. Really like that. It does take Hyper off that comfort, off those playmakers that we have seen in the Viego and the Lee Sin, but this has been one of the signs of growth from Hyper, him trying to expand his champion pool, expand his horizons. So I think that Trundle is going to give TSM a really solid front line with this Zeri. We'll see how Maryville respond.
Man, they keep throwing me off. Yeah, I was going to say, APA knows he's pulling at heartstrings, so he hovers the A still every single time. That is going to be the lock-in for the Jace here. Excellent combination between those two.
Yeah, so of course, I saw the Kaisa. Jace has been denied. This is Niall's best picks, what he's most comfortable on. And this is already a big poke identity for the side of Maryville. Now, TSM, they have the Leona hard engage. I'm curious what else they want to go with, but it looks like Maryville, they're going to target their bans at potentially some marksman, or just taking away some of the bad matchups for Jace. Viper, of course, a notorious for playing marksman top. So that Lucian ban, I think, is a really nice call. We'll see if they also take away something like the Corki, which can be played by both Viper and Kaido, and could be not bad trying to match some of the poke, maybe, that Maryville are throwing at them. And then the Pike, that's actually a Shady special that they're going to be taking away. So it would be a pick that would help Maryville very much accelerate that early game. TSM do not want to deal with that. We'll take that one away.
I'd be kind of surprised if we didn't see the Nautilus ban as well, because that's another one for Shady. If it's not the Pike, then it's definitely these heavy initiators when it comes to tanky champions, like the Nautilus, like the Leona, as we saw in that game number 2 here. So the Aurelia is going to be taken away in opposition of that Jace from Viper. Now the final ban to come through from TSM Academy.
I ban Rakan. No, you ban Nautilus. You got to ban Nautilus.
Yeah, you gotta ban the Nautilus.
Ooh. Okay, no, they ban Rakan. Trundle is pretty good on the Nautilus, but of course, Nautilus, you do have that point-and-click CC on Zeri. So I know that in the Trundle Leona, Nautilus doesn't feel that great, but that could be the option for Shady. The other option would actually be a Braum. So Braum, you can at least absorb the engage from Leona and Trundle, and you can try and play off proccing those passives. Or we can just go balls to the wall. We're going to be throwing out the cow. Who cares about getting those resistances taken away? It's going to be Shady's Alistar.
I am down with that. Yeah, you know, Braum definitely struggles in the early parts of the game, especially with somebody like the Zeri where you can just constantly fire those Qs out. Until you get a item or two, you're pretty susceptible, especially with the desire to throw concussive blows out. It is a busted passive, especially when you got somebody like the Kai'Su who's going to be able to just pop some of these autos down. So Camille is the lock-in. We'll see if they follow up on your anticipation right there with the LeBlanc lock-in. Why not? You might as well, and that means that the only counter pick left is going to likely be here for APA.
LeBlanc's really good at attacking sides. We saw Kaido have a pop-off game last game around. We'll see what APA's answer is into it, because keep in mind, he has actually eaten 3 bans, and Kaido, he swapped, so that Corki is going to match some of the poke that Maryville is going to be throwing at them. Definitely scales later. TSM, the later this game goes, the better, and we'll see what pick APA has to try and break this map open, because he will have the potential to move as a mid laner, and it's gonna be APA's notorious Aurelion Sol. This is one of his most played champions. He has over an 80% win rate on this champ throughout his career, and we're gonna be seeing it do or die for Maryville. APA returning to that A-Sol.
I am so stoked on this, honestly. You know, APA this whole time, like I said, he's been pulling at my heartstrings. He keeps covering it. We know it's not gonna be the lock-in that early on. And as a final pick, hey, you know what? You might as well. You're going into somebody like Corki. You have that opportunity to make some really big plays across the map. So I'm liking what we're seeing from both of these teams. I also like the fact that every single time the win conditions for both TSMA and Maryville University have kind of adjusted according to what they're counter playing into. So a lot less aggressive than we might have seen Maryville running that first and second composition, but there's more sustainability, and that's exactly what I was looking for from this team.
And before we dive into this game 3, I just want to kind of hop into some of the stakes, some of the, like, what this means to Maryville. Because, you know, Maryville, like I said, they've never won a Riot sanctioned event besides CLaw when it comes to playing in the circuits. And I know that players like Niles, of course, 1 year in the system, now back at Maryville. Shady, someone who I thought performed rather well on Phoenix 1, hasn't gotten academy opportunities. Part of that is that these guys do love competing at Maryville, but for them to knock out an academy team, then we even throw in APA, the only player at 2021 Scouting Grounds that was at 2022. It feels like these guys are coming in with a big chip on their shoulder. And I know specifically that Niles, he's on his J's. He said he believes in the squad. Keep in mind, this is a player took 3rd in all Proving Grounds last year with Golden Guardians Academy. He has that experience. He has gone far in this tournament. He believes in his collegiate squad, and we're going to have to see if Maryville can step up, prove that Niles has reason to believe, and try and take this game 3 and pull off the one big upset we will have seen in the first stage of Proving Grounds.
Honestly, I feel like reason to believe is reinforced just based on the history that Maryville University has had over the last year or two. And yeah, you got to expect everybody walking through into that storm, trying to see if they can pop anybody up. And they're not going to get a lockdown on anyone from TSMA. They're not that silly.
So if the Aurelion Sol sees anyone there, APA would preemptively flash and just make sure that, you know, get some more mileage out of that queue if the storm wasn't already big enough.
Yep.
But not the case, and instead TSM, it's going to be all about making sure that they don't get blown out of the water early, Jolly. That's going to be the big key here for TSM on the blue side, because they have the scaling. You have Camille, you have the poke Corki. We saw that clip of Kaido one-shotting someone with a Mega Rocket plus a Yumi Q earlier. That was from week 8 of Academy. He went legendary on 2 out of the 3 Corki games that he played last week. And for Maryville, they have to make sure that this game never gets to that point. They have to attack and make sure they pick their spots as cleanly as they did in game 1 to come out on top of this one.
That's part of the reason that I really like this pick for Shady as well in the Alistar, right? They can find the picks of their own. Alistar can get the flash headbutt if he really needs to on some of these initiations, or he can just go in and position in bushes, and then you kind of have that proxy play of you got to try to avoid that entire area. Of course, when you got Leona on the other side, there is the responding options for them. But I think my big one on this is going to be the fight between Hyper and Odd Orange. That Trundle being picked in response to the Xin Zhao. We've already seen how well Odd Orange can play with this one, even though maybe it's not his primary pick in the Lee Sin. It is still one that has been huge for him as of late. And we'll see if Niles maybe has a little bit more of a successful game, because in the last one, man, Viper was reigning supreme up here on the top side.
Let's see if Niles can maybe summon some of the Summit energy, rocking the same skin Summit likes to. And now Hyper. Oh, he's actually going for a 2 camp.
Oh,
so Niles, he importantly hits level 2.
Why not? Well, you got a pillar that you can hit hook shot through. You might as well take advantage of that, and that is at least a flash burned out from Niles.
So it's a level 2 one-camp gank from Hyper, and once again, TSM just put so much focus on making sure that Niles has trouble getting ahead, isn't able to replicate what he did in Game 1 against TSM. I think it really shows, how much TSM is respecting what Maryville has done to make sure that they reach this point in the first place, and also just making sure that they are able to answer back. But with all that said, Hyper, he isn't level 3 yet. Odd Orange is. He's invading the jungle, and he has APA's backup. They're going to find the Trundle.
The E from APA comes through. He's not going to bring the Q along with him, but that is because Hyper is actually getting a flash over the wall. Niles is there behind the scenes. The flash forward from APA. He's going to get the stun lock down. The W doesn't lock on him, and APA will be the first to fall thanks to Viper.
They weren't able to make it work. Now Niles, he almost dies to minions. Odd Orange. Oh, he's here. It's tragic for Maryville. The first play, the first move, it doesn't work. And now Kaido, he's here to collapse. Can they even get Niles out of this?
Doesn't look very good considering Viper and Hyper are in the wings, and all it takes is a flash forward from Kaido to say, all right, Niles, you are out of here.
Oh, and Maryville's first play, that's so tragic for them. Everything turned on its head. We said that Maryville, a team, they're never afraid to go for these plays. They know that when they draft Prio, they have the windows to make these plays work, but just not enough. And the person that won the very first Proving Grounds, Viper, he holds strong in the top side, and he gives TSM a huge advantage on the map.
That definitely feels good if you were Viper, just throwing down the Ignite. He did end up using his teleport to get back into lane. Kaido, maybe in a scary situation, has the W, though, to be able to back out of this one. And APA needs to accelerate a little bit, right, to be able to actually fully utilize this champion in the Aurelion Soul, but he is also one that's easy to fall back. This is actually fantastic.
This is so good from TSM.
In the bushes for TSM. Yurson moving forward. They've got eyes on him, but they just now first see Hyper. It's Odd Orange who takes a lot of damage. The Ignite as well out of Yurson. Niles has to try to get out of this one, but when it's 3v2 like that, you really can't. TSM up 4-0 after 4.5 minutes.
And that's a beautiful read coming out of Yurson and Hyper working together to make sure that connects. Is now trying to answer on the Kaido, but he can just use that W to escape. And Maryville, oh, the first two plays they've thrown at TSM, both have just come up tragically not their way. And this for TSM, keep in mind, this is a team that scales. They're going to be good going into the later stages of the game. You have the Corky Poke. We saw what Camille can do in the last game. Maryville needs this early lead, and both of these plays going wayward, not good moving forward for MU.
And an assist on top of those 2 kills the Viper has already picked up. So kill participation, having been in the top lane, is massive considering how many members Maryville University tried to kind of recover up towards that top side with. It's just fed more and more over to Viper. And we saw not only how well this Camille can do, but what can set Niles behind. And if you've got a couple levels over this Jace, he's going to be an easy target for anybody to mow on.
And, I mean, Viper, he is someone that has been so massive, so slept on. I think he's had a great split, honestly, with TSM, even despite their 10th place performance. And, as the person that has gone deepest in Proving Grounds before, him stepping up big, being that veteran presence for this team, much needed. And now you can see how dire the situation is for Niles. Now, this wave, it is crashing in. I think Maryville, they're going to go for one more dive. They do have 4 members up here, but once again, Hyper and Yurson, they're here to answer, but things might get freaky. Oh.
We'll see. That sweeper is at least going to give a little bit of a reveal here.
Yeah. The APA is not spotted mid. TSM should be able to assume he's here. And once again, Yurson Hyper with the cover, just making sure that Viper doesn't get dove. He's able to pick up all this CS and just able to keep on pushing forward the lead that he already has from the counter plays that TSM has made up top, breaking that game plan of MU once again.
And investing all this time and effort means that you're keeping Azog down here all on his lonesome. That's going to be the first plate pickup, going over to Instinct on his own. So he's got some extra gold, some extra experience for himself on top of it, and will likely hit that level 6 early. That means that Maryville has to take a big trip all the way back down towards the bottom lane. A nice little headbutt there from Shady onto Instinct is at least going to force a flash out.
I appreciate the respect flash from Instinct, just knowing that Yurson was just showing that mid-wave. Instinct showing some good presence of mind there, not giving Maryville any windows to try and bounce back in this game. And I mean, it's almost a 2K gold lead for TSM early. We put so much emphasis on Maryville needing to snowball, needing to make sure that they're getting ahead, taking plates with this Jace, with this Aurelion Soul. So, I mean, this is a much bigger lead than what we see on the scoreboard because Maryville just do not have angles to get back in the game as this one moves on. And we'll see if they can create any for themselves, because meanwhile, TSM utilizing that push they just got in mid to go attack Niles, and this is going to be dire.
Viper looking for something. They want to make another play. It's the flash away from Niles. The hook shot to follow it up, and the Hextech ultimatum does come out. Niles is hurting. The ignite goes down, and Viper already on a killing spree, 3-0-1.
And I know in the last Proving Grounds, Niles, he was the one that put Viper out of the tournament, but now Viper stepping up big, trying to put Niles and his old coach out of the tournament, make sure that they're able to make it into the double elimination phase of Proving Grounds. And this Jace, that early blind, I teased it. It's a pick that's very important to Maryville, one that Niles feels so confident on. The game plan that TSM had to play around it, expecting that in the draft, and now executing it on the big stage. This is the TSM that we saw in Week 8. This was the TSM that did not look like that 10th place Academy squad. And I know Game 1 was rough, but it's been great to see them bounce back in these next two.
This objective being started by Maryville University. At least the good recognition of we need to take what we can get, and this is something that we should be able to get with the recall here from multiple members of TSM Academy. Of course, Vision now being placed here by Viper, try to remove some of that. And on the bottom side, Yurson is moving up for maybe another play onto Niles. Odd Orange thinking the same thing, though, but the pings do come out of who else might be in the wings. Where is Hyper? Where is Yurson?
Well, Yurson is hiding, but will be spotted shortly by APA. Shady is following Maryville. Credits to them. They are sticking to their game plan, even with all the counter punches and all the counter ganks TSM have thrown at them. It's still going to be Maryville picking up first brick topside before 10 minutes.
That's huge. They get a second one on top of it. Multiple
really
members around to pick that up. Out comes the Rift Herald that was just snagged. So a really solid play. It was a big investment that came out of Maryville for the top, but totally worthwhile to be able to get tower number 1 before 19 and a half minutes even, Cubby.
I will see if it's totally worthwhile, because I think it's important to highlight, much like last game, Instinct has gotten so much farm, and now TSM, they want to fight.
Ooh, Viper takes a lot of damage. Kaiduo able to get the big one off on Orange with the flash forward, and the re-engage gets ignited on the other side, and aggro is all over the place here for this Maryville squad. They're not able to burn anyone down enough. So close from Azog with that Void Seeker, but doesn't quite seek the right direction.
And I know it's a good first positive play we've seen out of Maryville, but observers, if we could look at bot real quick, just to see what Instinct is getting in return. Once again, this Zeri, this is a solo turret. It is all 5 plates, not to mention the gold, the experience, everything being funneled into Instinct. This guy, I know it's his first split of Academy, coming from Amateur, coming from 100 Thieves next. He's a 17-year-old that has been a very impressive team fighter, someone that TSM Academy is really excited about moving forward. And if you give Instinct a lead, if you allow him to get on the team, into the team fights ahead, we have seen him really be a big carry for TSM Academy, even despite their 10th place finish. He is set up for the most success, not to mention that Viper is still on good footing. I mean, he's sitting at 3-0. He's well on his way into a Trinity Force. So even with that play from Maryville, it is still TSM, I believe, coming out on top.
Oh, yeah, it definitely feels that way. And especially considering Instinct, sure, we don't have any kills that have actually gone down to the bottom. Instinct isn't insanely far ahead in farm, but when it comes to gold, he's almost 1,000 up on his lane opponent, and that is going to come into play pretty quickly here. And on the other side, of course, 0-3 and 0 for Niles. We talked about just the difficulty in a Jace trying to get some recoverability here.
So look at TSM. Viper has a stacked wave. Yurson and even Instinct are rotating up to try and answer this for Maryville. Shady's here, but TSM, they have 4.
It's the jump here on to Shady, the headbutt to break the Hextech ultimatum away from Viper. Odd Orange is here now. Very well played by Shady, but what do they get out of it? Because Kaiduo and Hyper are here in the wings. The flash forward from Kaiduo. It's a headbutt response by Shady to at least ensure he stays alive for a moment, but he will end up going down. That single member in Odd Orange underneath the tower will be responded to here. Now Niles and Azog APA just looking for the one. They're going to get some good damage onto Yurson. They do send the majority of this TSM team away. Nice W out of APA ensures they at least pick up that one, but TSM is not out of it yet.
I mean, that overload play, it goes in Maryville's favor, and I'm really surprised that TSM reached as far as they did, because that's not a play they have to attempt. They have the scaling. They're going to be the team that's far stronger at the 20-minute mark. Them going for that, that's a risk, that's volatility, but they're going to keep on pushing for more. They feel like they're stronger at this point.
Viper taking a lot, but dealing a lot in response. It gives Instinct the opportunity to pop up as many shots as possible, but he wasn't close enough, so Maryville comes out ahead one more time.
And again, TSM are pushing when they don't need to. You can reset. You can go take this dragon for free. You can go get gold elsewhere. But TSM overcommitting. This is what Maryville were doing at the start of the game, where TSM were able to punch back. Maryville turning it back on them. This actually has given them a reasonable chance to get back in this game, Jolly. It's only a 1K gold deficit now. And Maryville, given all the volatility, keep in mind, when you're trying to be on the attack, what you're looking for is summoner spells being down. Look at TSM. The only flash they have available is onto Instinct. So Maryville, if they want to push the pace, they want to force plays with this Aurelion Soul, they have the ability to do so for the next few minutes. And they're going to have to hit it hard if they still want to continue to climb back into this game.
Well, they at least pick up more objectives. They were able to get that first Rift Herald. Looks like the Dragon is going to go over in favor of TSM since they had the pressure on that play. It's still big signs of life, though, like you said, Cubby, that is coming here out of Maryville. Again, the downside to this is just the recoverability of a player like Jace, you know, for this Niles right now is still a struggle, right? We've got the kills that are in favor of Kai'Sa, in favor of Azog, and then we had APA at least have that one pop-off, but what is Niles able to do until he gets a couple more items under his belt, especially if TSM Academy decides to continue to put all this pressure towards the top side?
No matter what happens to a Jace early, once you get that Mirror Mana evolved, you're still really strong. So maybe Maryville, that's the big target they're waiting for, as they have 2 tiers stacking between the Jace and the Kai'Sa. Of course, we are out of game, back on our faces, unfortunately. We are experiencing a pause. We'll update you once we get some more information. But as if we needed any more reason for Game 3 to be more tense, here we are, Jolly, sitting at a pause at 13 minutes. It's only a 1K goal deficit for the collegiate squad, who I think have valiantly fought back and punished a couple mistakes, I believe, from TSM, and actually given us a much closer Game 3. Keep in mind, it was 4-0 with the entire game plan for Maryville being broken, that Jace being behind, Viper being 3-0-1. He's still fed out of his mind, but the last few plays and skirmishes, it's given a window for Maryville to actually hop back in and be competitive in this Game 3.
There are some vulnerabilities that are starting to show, and part of it might have to do with TSM Academy kind of getting ahead of themselves, because all of these fights have been successful for them. Maryville University, though, recognizing, okay, we at least have eyes. They're utilizing their vision very well. We've got eyes on probably where Hyper might be. We've got eyes on where some of these members might be, and so we'll see how they transition that forward, as it does seem like we are back into the game. It was just a very quick headset issue, an equipment issue that has been pretty quickly resolved.
Should be hopping in right back on soon. I do just want to kind of, as we are able to take a step back in this pause, summoner spells are down right now for TSM. I think it's very, very, very important that Maryville are able to punish, able to do that in time, because keep in mind, this comp gets outscaled. As the game goes on, things get better for TSM. You have this Corki, you have this Camille. These are nightmares to deal with later into the game. You even have what looks to be a crit Zeri for Instinct, so bit of a squishier build, but hey, against the poke that Maryville have, I don't blame Zeri going for some lifesteal in the kit this time around. It's going to be a nightmare of a game for Maryville to come back into if they don't try to continue to push the pace, continue to try and make these plays for better or for worse. And you know what? Maryville's team, they are always going to throw down. So we'll see if they can pull these off.
And Azog is going to be a big player for that. Has the Manamuna, is stacking that one up for the tier in the Muramana, and is still sitting at 2-0-1. So while they haven't actually taken down that late opposition in Instinct, who has been able to pick up a lot of extra gold, having taken down that entire tower down below before the plating fell, they are still feeling pretty comfortable being able to say, I can Void Seeker you over and over and over again. And, part of the reason that Immortal Shield Bow was picked up for them for that survivability on top of it is just being able to stay in the fight, right? Not having to be forced to recall after taking a few of those Void Seekers out of Azog. But Azog hasn't really been able to utilize them the way that he would like to, because his positioning is still partially dictated by where TSM is focusing their pressure.
Hold on, we're going to pause. Okay, Shady, just going to make sure this wave gets in, but it will be a trade. TSM, Kaido had a power play on the top side. We'll net this outer turret as Maryville. We know the importance, the priority that Maryville puts on Herald. They are stacked up as 5. We'll see if TSM decides to try and team fight, try and take this objective. Looks like a handshake. Looks like they're going to try and prioritize the bot side. So Maryville are picking up a neutral and could utilize that to knock down some side lane turrets.
That's definitely helpful. I mean, hey, they need everything that they can get. Like I was saying, if they can focus those objectives, that's something that's really going to help them get a little bit of extra gold. The plates have fallen now at this point, but it is towers in favor of TSM Academy. And if they can get some of that responding pressure, they can have a little bit of control over the map, because right now it is currently in favor of TSM, especially now with Instinct and the rest of the squad trying to put some pressure here on to this mid side and find a third tower of the game.
I love what TSM are doing. It's just a 4-1, and now Auto Orange. He actually just dashed over the wall. He's in trouble.
On Orange, he's just gonna get taken down just like that. The Hextech ultimatum does come out. It's a nice lockdown in response right there by APA to be able to throw out the Q. It keeps the rest of the team alive, but a big pickup still for TSM, and now they'll be able to get this mid lane tower.
Odd Orange just not respecting. That's what we love to see out of TSM. Do they contest the Rift Herald? No. But they get priority elsewhere? Yes, it was in the bot side. Odd Orange doesn't respect that. Him dashing over the wall gets him taken down, and now TSM able to get some chip damage onto the mid inner turret as well. And importantly for them, force Maryville to respond. Because keep in mind, Maryville, they have to keep on making plays. They have to try and push the tempo. If TSM are able to remove 1 or 2 members from the map, that delays the game, delays the game plan that Maryville want to go with. Big advantage for TSM. Really nice pick set up by their team.
And a 3K lead is what they're looking at right now. Not massive, not anything to scoff at, though, at 16 minutes, just over 16 minutes in, especially considering how most of these objectives, well, I mean, the 2 Rift Heralds have gone over to Maryville. They've only picked up 1 dragon for TSM, so that is actually a big chunk of gold that has gone in favor of them, partially because of all of those plates they were able to secure for themselves before that 14-minute mark hit. And that's part of why they're able to dictate where these fights are happening. Maryville try to find an advantage here, but they have to move around as at least a 3-man squad to feel safe.
They don't have the numbers. Maryville, they have the power play. Shady. Oh, he goes for the flash. Not able to connect. We'll see if this is even a rift drop, as I think Maryville have the priority to just take this without burning their neutral as well in their pockets. So they're going to hold on to that. Maybe use it to take mid. This gold will be funneled into Niall's chase.
You can see the pings now coming out from TSM, both in the mid lane and towards the top side, requesting a little bit of assistance here for Kaido and also for Instinct, who has positioned himself mid. They just want to get as much pressure as possible, and it has forced back all of Maryville University. They have to respond to the pressure that has been placed in these 2 lanes. Once again, that means that TSM is just dictating the map. The style of gameplay that Maryville has to play here, it is not their decision.
And you can see Maryville and TSM, I think that them just playing this game a little bit slower, not taking some of the plays. We saw that mistake in the top side. Since then, TSM been very reserved. They are realizing their win con, which is time. Time is their friend in this one. It has been their friend in this series, as of course Maryville taking that game 1. We haven't been able to see them replicate the same, acceleration of Niles on the top side again. Because of that, TSM slowing things down, and they have the setup even to make sure they knock down the 2nd dragon as well, Jolly, which, I mean, that is one way that comps that get outscaled can get back in the game. It is taking those dragons. The fact that TSM already have 1 and are set up to take another, really important to making sure that this game gets even safer for them as well.
Even safer for them, like they need safety, to be honest. It feels like safety, those cushions should be going over to Maryville if they can set themselves up for it, and that's part of why they're not really able to respond to plays like this. They have to respond to the pressure that has been placed on the top side, the mid, and now at this point the bottom by TSM. They also, for TSM, have the speed available to consistently respond immediately to pushbacks, right? So Maryville is often saying, okay, hey, we push this lane back out, where can we get with it? Now we have to go push this lane back out, and then this lane back out, and TSM is really just completely in control of the positioning here for Maryville.
Now you're going to see Maryville continue to try and set up these plays, and that is just power plays in the side. This time around, they're going to burn that rift, but Yurson has snuck in here, and they don't realize that. Yurson could be on an angle. Maryville will respect that, and I will step back. Good read from them, as I think a 5v5 at this point would be dire. That would be all TSM, so Maryville only able to get the crash. They don't find anything from that group.
Once again, they got to go push back lanes. That has been a good portion of this game for Maryville, is to say, okay, hey, we can group up, as a 4 or 5-man team, because that's what we really need to do to play it safe here, just given the prowess of the players on TSM Academy right now. But that also means that when they put pressure in one lane with 3 to 4 members, TSM has the side lane ability. They're splitting across the map, and it's becoming really difficult now for Maryville to even make those individual plays of saying, okay, we want to put pressure on the bottom side. What can we make out of this?
Well, Kaido's gonna, that's a homie flash. Just, throw that one out there. I don't know if Maryville spotted that or not, but if they did, that's a target they can look at. Importantly for Kaido, that mirror mana is evolved. We were talking about the evolved mirror manas for Jace and Kai'Sa. It's already done on the Corki, and if a 5v5 breaks out, I heavily favor TSM at this point. I think Maryville need to find skirmishes, but here we go.
There it is. They're going for the one. They find Viper out. The Ignite should be able to do it. It's actually the auto attack from APA. Viper went into that one a little bit too early.
Yeah, just not on the same page as the rest of the team, and Maryville, props to them. They are on the same page. They were able to punish. Now, it wasn't for free. Kaido did take the bot inner turret for himself, so the Corki continues to be accelerated ahead, but a bit of a mistake, maybe some nerve showing for TSM Academy. Keep in mind, they are playing, both teams are playing for their lives, but you got to believe that TSM are the team that have a little bit to lose as the Academy squad. Viper getting caught out there, Kaido burning a flash. Maybe TSM getting a little bit nervous in this game, even though I know that as time goes on, really favors TSM.
Yep.
We'll see if they can make sure they set it up, as Baron is now on the map, and TSM with the mid lane priority can set up around it. It could be very dire for Maryville. They have a lot of ways to check it, but the poke from the Corki, if they do bait Maryville in, it's dire at this point. He is so ahead of the power curve.
It's so easy for them to just push in
Look
these
at how
lanes.
fed Kaido
Every
is.
single person here is going to be able to do that. Kaido, 101, 400 gold bounty, 243 creep, and that's what you get with the power of a Corki, especially when you have the capacity to roam around the map as freely as Kaido has this entire game. He hasn't had to be afraid of running into a bush that's got Niles and Shady in it, or anyone and Shady, because Shady has just been trying to respond here.
Oh,
That's going to be a nice
Shady.
jump play,
Oh my
though.
goodness.
Azog is the one who picks up that kill. It's a lot of damage and response onto Odd Orange, and Hyper will be able to take down APA. No, not when you are a god of the skies here. APA at least finding something else for Maryville.
And what a play from Shady. TSM, they saw Maryville hop into that brush. They were trying to set up a play to collapse on the mid lane, but Shady, he says no. He headbutts the Camille out of it. And Maryville, they pick up 2 kills. They are not going down without a fight, Jolly. Able to bounce back, get some more control on the map. Now, the one bummer, they can't go take Baron. They can't go take any neutrals. So it's not that dire for TSM, but still, Maryville, the fact they are able to still find these plays, this game is much more dire than a 3K gold deficit. Really speaks to how well this collegiate squad is playing as 5.
And all they have to do is push this out consistently, right? Because they do have late game power of their own. As long as they can stack up some of these items, we can see that Muramana has now been completed as well by Azog, who
Chase
has
just
yet
pops.
to go down here. Only one death between both the mid laner and this ADC, which have by far, actually have all 6 kills split between the two of them. So if you're Maryville, you're certainly not feeling horrible about this. You definitely have the pressure on your back, but they keep making some solid plays. And a lot of that has to do with collecting on the fact that TSM has put themselves into some scary positions.
And with both those Miramanas now being evolved, I'm actually curious to see how this poke war pans out. Can Corki match the poke of Kaisa and Jace? This is the big thesis that we're going to have to answer this game as TSM Academy moves forward. And I'm still worried for them because at the moment, look at the map control. Maryville, total control over this bot lane river to deny soul point from TSM, and they don't have an answer, don't have a setup onto the Baron. And this poke, it's going to start to get really tough for TSM to deal with this.
Oh, the killer instinct comes through. He's going to be able to follow it up with another Void Seeker.
Look at that.
Probably no on top of that, but it is going to send Instinct away, having lost both summoners.
And again, a team play from Maryville. That's Azog, Niles syncing up. That will be enough to make sure that they secure this dragon, deny soul point from TSM. Very important, especially given the power of Hextech Soul. Now, Kaido, with every play that Maryville has attempted, Kaido has just been farming. He is at 273 CS at the 24-minute mark. This Corki, now with a completed Maw that will help with the Kaisa poke, is so ahead of the power curve. And Kaido, as you know, that member that is stepping in from the LCS team, he really has a chance to be the big carry, show just how good his mechanics are from the LDL if he wants to make sure that TSM can get through this best of 3, because he is the one that has been funneled all the gold, all the resources for TSM.
Still some confidence. 2 Dark Seals picked up, 1 for APA, 1 for Azog. APA's has 7 stacks on it. He's been feeling pretty good because he hasn't actually gone down since the beginning of the game. So I like the recognition that Maryville has of saying, hey, you know, if we can take this mid game, we can set ourselves up for a very successful late game. As good as that might look for TSM, we hold a very similar control. And so it has been kind of a stall out, right, that Maryville has forced onto TSM, and where TSM was dictating the placement of Maryville, they finally have regained some control of this map. A nice little shot right there is going to do a bunch to both Yurson and Hyper. That is the package coming out of Kaido.
That's actually a pretty big mistake from Kaido, not taking the package on the dragon cooldown and then burning it. He will not have it available for the next dragon, nor for another 5 minutes. Of course, a little bit of a patch change from Corki compared to 12.1 earlier in the season when we saw Corki dominating the meta. And, I mean, props to Maryville. They've done a really good job of just pulling themselves back into this game. And the way they're moving, the way they're utilizing this poke comp, it's been pretty good. TSM have not had an answer, have not been able to find a clean engage onto the side of Maryville, as things have been really tough.
Oh, really tough is definitely one way to say that, especially when you've got everybody from Maryville here disconnecting, reconnecting immediately after. That's the last thing we want is any, latency, internet issues. And Maryville, this is not the first pause that we have seen so far in this game, but we're 25 minutes in, and it's not, it's holding on with a pretty solid grip, right? It's not quite clawing their way back because while it feels like their backs have been up against a wall, it's not like it's Dragon Soul that's in favor of TSM. It's not like they've been able to pick up the Baron and then push forward into the base of Maryville University. It's still 3 towers to 4 towers. So they've at least had a good grip. They're just trying to hoist themselves back up over that ledge, and they're giving themselves a nice little boost up to do so, especially having taken that dragon, or at least the potential for the soul, away from TSM in the early parts of this. I like it. I like stability, especially when you've got that much pressure. You've got your back against the wall in this kind of situation. It is a do or die single elimination portion of Proving Grounds.
So pretty much just going to boil all that down to it's winnable.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it. I'm liking the resilience, because we are
All
seeing a lot of that from Maryville.
Well, hopefully we can get back into the game. I believe it was a model bug, so we just had a team, DC, reconnect. It was all on their side, of course, Maryville. They do have an arena at their college campus, so they're all playing together in the same room. Pretty cool for them. Of course, kind of matching the academy teams, right? Having their offices, being able to compete as a squad. And Maryville going to have to continue to crawl back into this game to really make this one competitive. And, props to Maryville. The the first 2 plays top, it was disastrous. TSM had every single answer, but since then, Maryville have been the ones that are moving around the map better. They have been the ones that have been dictating the pace of the game, pushing TSM around. Now, it's all been traded for farm on Kaido. So if this Corki is able to start one-tapping people into the later stage of the game, that could easily change. And that's kind of the big question for Maryville. Can they dodge out on that? And can they continue to walk TSM around the map? Because if that's the case, Jolly, we could be in for the long haul for this game 3.
It already feels that way, to be honest.
2 pauses,
Cubby, right?
yeah.
We're at like 26 minutes in, too,
hold on.
and it's relatively even-keeled here. TSM maybe
Hold on.
positioning themselves for a little bit of a sneaky play onto
Hold
Azog
on.
and Shady. Odd Orange is in the wings, but all it takes is a jump onto one, and there it is, the Zenith Blade over the wall. Shady taking a lot of damage. Azog has a response, but it's not as good as the Hextech Ultimatum onto that support player.
That's all it takes. Just one mistake, one misstep. TSM, they are able to punish and only use the ultimates from the bot lane and Viper, so they still have Hyper's ultimate, very important, as Maryville now trying to posture for mid-priority. And I think TSM pushing up. We'll see if they get frisky enough to have the confidence to try and start this Baron.
We can see Viper moving away. He's got his teleport available. They also know that this red buff is up, so we saw the pings coming out from TSM. They're instead going to go for some extra clear, some extra buffs here. That's going to be Instinct, able to pick that one up. And you really got to watch out for this player. The fact that Kaido has not been able to really be fully utilized in this composition, though, the fact that he's only 1-0-1 has participated in 2 of these fights, sure, it's to say something because we have seen some misplays from him, but that also just goes to show that he hasn't been a full part of these fights, and when he is, you got to watch out for this item build.
I will take the trade. If I had a Corki that was this accelerated into the game, I'm taking that every single time, as now Maryville, they still feel the pressure to bounce back. Shady doesn't have ult.
Oh, Shady just got back, and he's going to face a gray screen immediately after that. He did get ignited, so that has expired here for Viper. But ultimates are almost up and available for everybody here on the side of TSM.
Another much-needed pick for TSM. Shady just getting a little bit farther ahead. And keep in mind, Kaido, he's not grouped, right? He's just farming. He's trying to PvE his way to that full item Corki build where things will get pretty difficult if it wasn't already hard enough for Maryville continuing to try and get themselves back in this game. His instinct, structures continue to fall. He's going to take this one, and now, APA.
Oh, what an ultimate. Going to follow it up by going into Stasis. Niles is in the background, was able to provide a lot of damage there. Going to try to follow it up with the Q. Gets the lockdown here onto Yurson, who has to flash out of that play. Shady taking that Hextech forward. APA will go on a killing spree. Has found his 4th kill of the game, but it's still 5,000 in favor of TSM Academy.
That's the power of the Aurelian Soul, and what a huge play from APA. Maryville, they needed a moment like that. That could be enough to make sure they can get at least priority over this bot river, but because of the last 2 plays, the last 2 picks from TSM, that side of the map still in shambles for Maryville, and TSM, knowing that Maryville might try and play for the Dragon, they're just going to go ahead and start the Baron. Keep in mind, this is a crit Zeri, does the Baron much, much faster than the other Zeri builds, so we'll see if Maryville can spot this out.
Look at all those numbers. 30, 30, 30, 30. It's just so much damage.
Oh, no.
And all you have to do is sit there and pop at it.
He's
There
out of
it
wards.
is. They've got some vision on this side. Hyper is very low.
Oh.
Instinct taking a big pop there from
Do
the
they
cannon
start?
off of Niles. They can
They might
potentially
start.
respond to this one. Might as well. Hyper has to recall here.
I mean, two people have to recall, Hyper and Instinct, and Maryville just starting it. They're going to force TSM's hand. What do they do?
Oh,
my God.
They
All right,
do
well, that's
that.
Kaido.
They just pop out a ton of damage. That wasn't even the big one, though. Kaido now going to follow up with that. He doesn't get the shot on it. And it's only halfway down for this Baron when all 5 members are sitting on top of it.
Oh,
That's
no.
going to give the ability
Oh,
for Hyper
no.
to re-engage.
Their
He
health bars are
didn't
so low.
even recall on this.
Oh,
Instantly,
no.
Viper goes in. He picks
comes
up
Kaido.
one. Shady will likely be there to follow it up. It's Kaido who grabs the next. And the Baron is still only at half health. They've actually been able to stop the reset on this objective, and they should now be able to pick this one up without contest.
Maryville still have both their poke tools. Things could get frisky here, as we'll see if Niles can find it.
Oh my God, no
Wait,
way,
Smite's
Niles!
down.
Niles gets the shutdown, he stops it! He stops
Smite's
the
down.
Baron take right at the very end. A good play and maybe a bit of a saving grace here for Maryville.
Utter craziness this game, Jolly. It's game 3. We aren't going down without a fight. It is a back and forth. Maryville, they are the ones that, it's not going their way, but at least they aren't going down without a fight. Niles, big shock blast was able to connect there, and now we might just see a rinse and repeat. Keep in mind, this dragon's still up. No one was focusing on this objective. We'll see if Maryville decide to step up. They have to fix their wave state, so they will not. So a point goes over to TSM, but oh my, that was really important that Niles was able to find that kill. If that doesn't connect, I think that could be a really game, set, and match for TSM. But that kill, that shock blast, it connects, and Jolly, we're still here. TSM continue to push forward, but this game, it's still playable for MU.
It is. It's a pretty big setback right there for TSM, who you're right. It was they were about to lock a nail in the coffin with that one. APA looking for a big stun. He's gonna land
Kaido.
it, and it is Kaido who ends up going in a little bit too far, taking a lot of damage there. APA gets out alive. Viper is on the run though, and so
Viper.
much in
Oh,
response
no.
comes through. Azog able to pop off the Achithian Rain and lock them down. That's 2 members now at a 40+ gray screen for TSM.
And Kaido, he goes for the big play. It gets shut down. It's a 5v3. The person that keeps them off the Baron, it is the poke Corki. With him being off the map, Niles is TPing back. This is going to be Baron for Maryville. Shall we? This back and forth game, we were posturing for it to go long. We'll see if TSM can stop this Baron, but just like that, it feels like Maryville, they've come back.
Maryville is back in the seat. They're still
Whoa, watch
down in
Shady.
goal, but it hasn't
Shady
even
wants to
been
fight.
that much. On Orange goes in onto Hyper. He stays alive. It's a lot of damage there from Niles as well onto Instinct. Odd Orange and APA are very low, but they're sticking onto this Baron. Shady moving in. Azog finds the killer. Instinct is going to flash over the wall and go for Instinct himself, trying
They
to
got
snag
Baron.
away that red buff, and they will
Maryville.
take down your son. Maryville now. I cannot believe that they stopped the Baron take twice and picked it up for themselves.
And it's Maryville. Look at this replay. It's the back half of the Aurelian Soul Q that catches out Kaido from here. Viper tries to find a pick on the jungler to stop this, but it gets turned around by APA's Aurelian Soul. And it's the team of rejects. Keep in mind, Niles, 1 year in the system. Shady used to be on Phoenix 1. APA, the only player that had been at 2020 and 2021 scouting grounds. They're the ones that are taking it to this academy squad saying, we deserve to be here. We deserve to be in proving grounds. They're trying to surmount this comeback victory. Viper's caught out. He's going to go down. TSM continue to fall apart.
That's just way too far. You cannot give that much spacing to a team like Maryville University. You just got a pure or prime example of how they can come back, how they can approach these fights from seemingly out of nowhere, where TSM says we're poised to win this one, and yet all of a sudden APA swings in out of nowhere. Niles gets some of these shots that come from seemingly, again, out of nowhere, and it's still sole point for TSM. Maybe that's going to be their next point of focus here. Kaido going in onto Niles, but it's a well-timed stopwatch from both of them. Should go in favor of Kaido. And it's a nice shutdown goal that goes into his pocket as well.
All right, good comeback from Kaido. He needed that one as Niles, the push, it is stopped. That turret does not fall. Maryville forced to retreat, and they have to be careful because keep in mind, I think one of the big parts about that initial Baron play where TSM found the win against Maryville, on the back half, they picked up that dragon. That was sole point. And now, Maryville, they are forced. They have to play around this dragon and that team fight. Keep in mind, this is a team that we still believe gets outscaled as the game goes on. It was a huge play from APA and Maryville to make sure that they were able to win that initial fight, take that Baron, but they're going to have to rinse and repeat it again.
There are a couple stopwatches available for both sides. Of course, a finished Zonia's, as we can see there for APA, who has been popping off on a lot of these fights. And that's kind of what he needs to initiate these ones, as we saw towards the mid side. Instinct, though, does have the first inhibitor of the game, should be able to pick this one up, but he's in a risky spot. It's a flash forward from Shady. It's followed up by Yurson being in the wings and throwing out a solar flare. Will the Killer Instinct follow this one up? Just going to throw another Void Seeker out here from Azog. Kaiduo on the backside, maybe looking for an opportunity for himself. Shady with the headbutt onto Viper. APA is not here. It's a 4v5. A couple of stopwatches burned. Shady will likely go down. Right here is going to be Azog that does first. On Orange will fall soon after, and now it feels like TSM has finally found the opening they need to win the game.
Maryville has to cut the waves, but the TP comes in. It saves the cannon. I think Maryville pushed a little bit too far. I think that's it, Jolly. TSM, I think they managed. Oh, wait. APA,
they finds the one. Yeah, finds the two, actually. Hyper was a little too far in, took too many tower shots on that one. Kaiduo can't stay in this one. They cannot end. A huge play right there from APA to ensure that the game continues past 35 minutes.
It continues, but it's not getting any easier. Keep in mind that Dragon. This is Dragon Soul for TSM. It's up in 20 seconds. Maryville will not be up in time to respond, so TSM not able to win it. We still have a game, but Hextech Soul is going to make them so much more difficult to deal with, so much more powerful in this game. In Maryville, they're forced. They have to fight this. They have to flip this. They have to hope this comes up in their favor.
They really do. Shady and Niles. Here it is Azog who's in the wings. APA will likely not be a part of this fight whatsoever. Ooh, some nice Void Seekers, though, and some nice shots coming out of Niles will ensure a recall forced out of one or two members here. We'll see if this is actually committed out of Viper, and yes, it is. He's got the teleport to follow it back up, though, if he wants. The Dragon being picked up now by Maryville, who's still behind. A solar flare is dodged with the flash from Odd Orange. Gonna be able to stay alive for quite a while. Dodges the damage on Kaiduo's ultis, popping forward. They are all out, and they are all respawns now.
Oh my goodness. What? Somehow Maryville, they sneak it out. They had the smite. They had the guts to go for it. That's huge. That keeps them in the game. This game continues. It keeps on looking grimmer and grimmer for MU, but the Saints, they're holding strong. They are not yet broken. And we still have a game here, Charlie.
Honestly, it's crazy because the first half of this game, I mean, it flew past. It flew by. We were watching TSM kind of finding play after play after play. And Maryville is held strong so hard that is going to stop the recall here from APA. I was going to say, Hyper might have the opportunity. He does use the subjugate right off the bat, but recognize he's probably got to go out because the rest of Maryville is not within sights.
I guess Subjugate's just a half-health ability at this point. with a Q auto from the Trundle. I mean, I honestly don't know what to say. We knew the series was going to be close, but this is closer than I could have ever imagined. The fight that Maryville has put up. This has been a back-and-forth game 3, and if this isn't March Madness, then I don't know what is. We'll see if TSM can hold strong. Keep in mind, they have 2 inhibitors down. Baron's up in 30 seconds, and it's in the 2 lanes that will really hurt Maryville's chances of getting control over the topside jungle. We already see the red buff going over to TSM, and with the strength of TSM at the moment, Charlie, it's just getting harder and harder for Maryville, but they have the tools, they have the poke. If the W's connect from the Kaisa, if the Empowered Shock Blast connect from Niles, maybe they have a chance to fight this one.
The struggle for Maryville is if they find themselves a really good play, that's not the end of the game for them. However, with TSM, that is absolutely the case. Maryville moving forward.
A package. Yeah. So Kaiduo has a package. He grabbed it. He is now pushing forward and has the package for this Baron. This is really tough for Maryville, but Maryville, they find Hyper.
Now they know that Yurson as well is in the back. They also know that Instinct is in the wings because that W should have been visible to them.
They can't fight the package. The package is really dire for Maryville, and you can see Kaido, he's not spotted right now. If this is a big package, this one doesn't get shut down. This could be what breaks the camel's back for Maryville. Keep in mind, this is a game 3 of a best of 3. Winner moves on Improving Grounds. Loser goes home, and TSM, with this package, with the strength, the farm they funnel on the Kaido, that will be enough to make sure that Maryville does not check the Baron, and this will be the big purple worm going over to our Academy squad.
Once again, 3 dragons in favor here of TSM. We'll see if that next one even gets the opportunity to spawn, because it is something that Maryville is going to have to stand up against that, or they take it for themselves and set both teams at match point. I mean, that's the 40 minutes into the game, though, Cubby. I didn't even expect it to go this far, especially with how ferocious TSM was at the beginning of this game, but you can never count a team like MU out. We talked about the late game ability for both of these teams. Sure, primarily we were looking at TSM, but it also is very much in existence here for Maryville, and they're trying to work some of these plays to their advantage. Listen, you keep scaring me with the hold-ons.
Well, I know, but this could actually be an angle for Shady. You can see Maryville.
It's possible.
It's a Fnatic brush angle. That's how dire things have gotten. APA's fixing the top side. I don't think he's set up in time to go for this.
It's a big
keep in mind, I think it's important. Kaido doesn't have the package this time. So if Maryville can maybe play off this Aurelion Soul Q, this could be their best shot.
They're looking for something, but so much damage to come through onto the back line. Shady has to flash away. Yurson flashes in. Viper gets locked down, but so does Odd Orange. APA will be the first to fall on the side of Maryville University. Ignite on top of Odd Orange. All it's going to take is one more shot at him, and he'll go down. Viper might fall here. Shady will be first, though, and it's the resurrection. Thanks to that Zeri, it means that not a single member of TSM goes down in that fight. A clean ace to themselves, and that spells the end of the game. It was so hard fought. It's over 40 minutes that Maryville pushed this one out to, but with the reverse sweep to send Maryville home in a single elimination portion of this bracket, it's TSM that come out with the victory.
And what a performance from TSM. I think that what Maryville was throwing at them in the early game, they had every single answer, but man, does it speak to how good Maryville is as a team. The fact that it was a 2K gold deficit at the 5-minute mark, the fact that TSM denied the easiest win con for Maryville, and then it still went to a 40-minute slug match where Maryville were able to find angles where they fight back, able to find angles where they were playing better as a group of 5. I think it really speaks to how strong this collegiate team is, something we're really looking forward to if you were a collegiate League of Legends fan, seeing this Maryville squad. And it's too bad they drop out, but man, TSM, that early game plan, able to convert it to a win. It wasn't easy, but they were able to do it. They held strong, and they move on into Proving Grounds.
They did. They get to move on. It was such a tight match, and that's what we were expecting in this, Cubby, right? I don't think anyone was expecting a 40-minute game per se, especially one where it seemed like TSM was in control pretty early on in that game, setting themselves up for a successful late game here. But my goodness, my heart is pounding. I'm going to need a big break after that series, and unfortunately for us, that is the last one of the day, but we still have some stuff to discuss. We still might have an interview in the wings as well as we bring your red beard pirate Kangas back into things after this. So you know what? I love what we're seeing from Maryville. It is sad that, of course, we were hoping one of these amateur teams could take down one of the academy teams to start this day out. But moving forward, we are going to be seeing a lot more, including a double elimination bracket. So there's more opportunities for these teams and these players to pop off and show what they are here for.
Yeah, too bad we don't see Maryville for the rest of this tournament. Double them. I think that they're a squad that really proved that they can compete at this level. Unfortunately, not able to pick up enough points. And yeah, they're going to go home, and we'll have to see them in collegiate and hopefully in the summer PG as well.
Oh, we'll see plenty of that team. That is not the last we're going to see from them. That's not the first that we've seen of them. Certainly won't be the last. I do believe we're going to toss it to a quick break, though, before we bring Kangas back in to talk about the 2 series that we've had today and maybe have a nice little interview with one of the winning players on at TSM Academy. So don't go anywhere. We're not quite done yet here on Proving Grounds.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for our post-series interview. I'm sitting here with the winning AD carry in TSM Academy, Instinct. Congratulations, man. What a series and what a game 3. I just want to hear your initial thoughts on the closing moments of that one. It was so tight. What was it like to play that one out?
Yeah, that was a pretty fun one, but we knew we were gonna win because I thought I was playing against intermediate bots actually when there were like 5 people walking to like a lane to lane.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you had confidence, but from a viewer perspective, it definitely looked close. But I'm happy that you still felt like you were in the control that entire time. Speaking of, it is, of course, your rookie split here in the Academy scene, but this is not your first time going through Proving Grounds. So I want to get your insight and your thoughts on how the field is looking so far and how you have changed year over year. Because, of course, now you have a full split in Academy under your belt. So let's start there. What's the difference between Instinct now going into the round 2 of Proving Grounds versus Instinct last year on 100 Thieves Next?
I think this year I'm confident in my abilities to carry games and how to like lead a team, and also I have trust in my teammates to perform. Yeah, just having trust in my teammates and working together has been like really good for us in this split.
All right. And you, of course, had to go through round 1 here of Proving Grounds, which was the single elim. But now going into round 2 ahead of you, you have now double elimination for the rest of the bracket. How you feel so far about the form of TSM Academy? Do you feel like you're still confident and Maryville were just a really strong team, or were there things that the team can still work on based off that last series?
I think amateur teams are probably like harder to play against academy team because they just do random stuff and cheese stuff that you don't expect. While if you play like academy teams, they're just gonna play standard and we'll just beat them like there.
Okay, maybe a little easier to read them, but the amateur team stuff. You did play against APA's Aurelion Sol. Not many people can say they played against it and won. Do you have any message for APA as he pulled out his pocket pick for that game 3?
Yeah, I like when I press tab, I know he's gonna do the home guard thing where he presses like his E, Q, whatever ability, and like the big star. I just tell my teammates that he's gonna do this. Just wait for it, and we'll fight them afterwards, because I know it's coming.
Sure, maybe a little bit in his head. You understand exactly what the tech does. I think over time, people get used to that Aurelion Sol pick. Well, Instinct, either way, you got the win on your belt. It feels fantastic. You have the podium now. Any message you have for anybody out there watching?
Nothing much. Just Proving Grounds will be lit this year.
It already is. It already is. Instinct, thank you so much for coming on for our Verizon post-game interview, and best of luck preparing for round 2 of Proving Grounds.
Okay, thank you. I like your mustache or your beard.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And with that said, let's bring back the casters. Now we'll get Cubby and Jolly back on here. I wonder if he knew about the bet. I don't even know if he was aware.
Little
Did
does
just
he
think
know
this is me?
it's for Maryville.
Well, the best part is I do have the silver hairspray right here. So that means that my roommate Mazel will have to dye his hair silver because TSM did win the series.
We're going to be quite the colorful stream moving throughout Proving Grounds if you guys keep on making these bets. I'm afraid my hair might be at risk next.
I need to get like different colors for every single team at this point. I think that's going to be the running bit. But that's it for day number 2. I want to get both of your thoughts here to close out the day as we take a look at what happened throughout the day. A swift 2-0 for FlyQuest Academy to start things off. It feels like a century ago after that last best of 3. So, Cubby, what are your thoughts on FlyQuest's wildcard aces? I want to hear from you first.
I mean, that series went how I thought. I honestly thought that Wildcard Aces put up a better fight than I originally thought. And I mean, it kind of just led into the second series where I think that anyone that had been following Academy and Amateur, like they all realized and like looked at this matchup and being like, this is the one where things can go crazy. Like, this is the one where Amateur has the best chance to upset an Academy squad. And as close as I thought this match could be, as much as I thought this could end with any 4 scores at the end, I could have never imagined a series that was as close as out on the edge of our seats as I hope everyone was on home as Jolly and I were on the cast. And we were like getting out of that one, like we're sweating. I got back sweat coming out. Like, I have no idea what's going on. And I mean, for Maryville to fight back from that, I know this is a team where I'm bummed they don't get a second life. I think that, the way that Collegiate started this split was Riot pretty much saying that they don't believe that that's the primary path to pro, and this is. And Maryville didn't listen. They built a squad where you can reasonably look at that squad and say they can play an Academy. And they proved that today. And I think that speaks a lot to what Maryville is doing as a program with Quirky, Jensen, the fact that they not only had this performance, but also had 2 squads make it into Proving Grounds. I think it just really speaks to what's going on over there. And whatever they're putting in the water over there in St. Louis, it's pretty good because they're not the only team in that area that's a very good collegiate squad.
All right, that was Cubby Soapbox. Jolly, I want to hear from you. Thoughts on the day overall, and especially that second series, because that one was just a treat to witness.
Oh, yeah, I got to find, like, some blood pressure pills or something after this, to be honest. My heart is still racing. I mean, a 40-minute game, I don't think anyone was expecting at the end of the day, but wild card, they put up a good fight, right? And that's, one of the 2 wild card teams as well there. It was pretty tough for them, especially game number 1 ending in 25 minutes, and it ended up being a 2-0. But I think, really, I mean, I could go back and watch that Maryville TSMA game series over and over and over again, starting with game number 1 where Maryville pretty decisively took it, and then we saw that game 3. I mean, that is the stuff that Proving Grounds is made of, and I love to see an amateur team and a collegiate team in particular doing as well as they did. Yeah. You can't set them aside, right? You can't count out these collegiate teams just because they don't have the org backing doesn't mean that they don't have a big reinforcement coming from their schools.
I mean, to be fair,
the shock blast of that Baron was so insane. Oh, yeah. Like that play. Yeah. Yes, Cubby?
To be fair, they do have more backing than some of the teams that we are going to see in amateur. True. Like thinking of No Team, thinking of Taco Gaming that have no salaries, just have a support staff that, playing this for the thrill of the game, managed to make it competing in both of those OQs. And yeah, I mean, I think it's signs of what may be to come as we move through our League of Legends Proving Grounds March Madness.
Exactly.
And, yeah, brackets are updated.
One thing we'll note here as we look at the bracket, all 4 Academy teams competing in round 1 of Proving Grounds have made it through the single elim stage. From this point forward, it is all double elim. We will have 10 Academy teams and 6 amateur teams now throughout the rest of the bracket, with an upper and lower bracket, of course. But I mean, even if we say that this is the expected result, it was still a fantastic show to get here. It was down to the wire, especially for that last series. And I think that overall, Amateur, I think, had a good showing in round 1. So we bid farewell to 4 teams already in Proving Grounds, but I'm excited for the rest of the show and what we have to see there. With that said, that's it for day 2 of the broadcast. That's it for round 1 of Proving Grounds. Let's take a look at the schedule to see what is up ahead of us for tomorrow's broadcast, because of course we do still have more Proving Grounds action this week, but it is not over here with just round 1. When we look at the schedule here, Jolly, I want to throw it to you. Which of these 2 series is your must watch?
Okay, all right. When it comes to having all these Academy teams on board, I gotta say Taco Gaming. Come on, Taco Gaming versus IMTA. That is going to be one that you don't want to miss, and it's starting the day out right. So that is absolutely, if I have to pick between these 2 series, I'm watching that Taco Gaming one.
Cabby, argue for Golden Guardians Academy EGP.
I do want to note that is Evil Geniuses Prodigies, not EG Academy. I think that Golden Guardians Academy are actually going to be one of the hardest teams to knock out in this tournament. I think that they have shown a lot of flexibilities and strategy. I think they have a lot of experience. And I think specifically Ryoma, for me, has been the best performing mid laner in Academy this split. I think that he has been fantastic on a wide range of champions. And anyone that is going up against Golden Guardians Academy will have to deal with him, whether he's on the Rise, on the Yasuo, on something in between. He's going to be a tough out with the rest of Golden Guardians Academy.
And of course, they're one of the top teams based on the end of season regular season standings, Golden Guardians Academy. with Violet coming in, of course, they look different, but they're still a scary Academy team to match up against in your first round. But that's it for the round 1 of Broadcaster Proving Grounds and day 2 of the overall tournament production. Thank you to everybody in production behind the scenes for keeping the gears rolling. Thank you to my amazing casters here, Jolly and Cubby. You brought insane energy and awesome vibes to the day. Thank you to everybody in Twitch chat for being so active and vocal about who you're supporting, who you're rooting against. It was awesome to see everybody show up, and a special thanks to all the players for putting out the performance. We would not have this show if it were not for all of these players aspiring to go pro. With that said, that's it for the broadcast. We'll see you back tomorrow for the start of round 2 Proving Grounds. See you there.